Hey YouTube land, Tech Anders here, welcoming you to another action figure review. This time it is for a Spawn character. Now, I'm not too au fait with all the different versions of Spawn. I just know of the main character of Spawn himself. I don't know too much about the comics. I've never really got into the comics. But for this review, I'm taking a look at Raven Spawn. Now, I know McFarlane has recently announced that he's doing another Raven Spawn figure, which has different weapons, but from what I can see, it seems to be the same base figure. Maybe a slight bit different deco, but overall, I think it's the same figure, just as I said, with different weapons. But I'm having a look at this one, which is the first, well, not the first release version, but the first release of their newer, kind of more super articulated figures. So we'll get into that, but before I go on to the figure, we'll have a look at the box for said figure. I'm just getting to stand here in the corner. He does stand, he just, sometimes you just need to get him to level his feet. So the box is this kind of purplish color with yellow logo, and his name is in white. You have an image of the figure on the side of the box. You have the Spawn logo on the side as well. On the other side, you have an artwork image of the actual character. And then flipping around to the back of the box, if I just bring it back, you just have an image of the figure, 22 points, or 22 moving parts. An image of Raven Spawn as the figure. And that's pretty much it. On the bottom, then, just have all the legalese stuff. So, accessory-wise, he comes with 2 figure accessories and 1 display base. So the display base is the same stuff that you get with most of the Spawn figures, or sorry, most of the McFarlane figures. It's the exact same base, this kind of small round disc with a peg. As you can see, this is the Avatar version. I have the Princess Bride version, and somewhere around here I have a Warhammer 40,000 version, which has the Warhammer 40,000 logo on it. So it's pretty much the same base that you get. It's also the same one you get with the DC Multiverse stuff. So it is that. And then you get this fairly big halberd axe type thing, which is pretty nice. It is kind of curved. I'm not sure if it's intentional, meant to be curved, or it's meant to be straight. It's just the way my one is. It is sort of a flexible material, but I wouldn't flex it too much. It may snap. And then his other accessory that he comes with is this cool sickle sort of chain, double sickle kind of type weapon with a chain on it. Now, the original figure he didn't have this sickle thing, but he did have a very similar looking pole arm with the blade on the top. And when I get to the comparison time, I will bring him in just so you can see the scale differences and the overall aspect, articulation difference. So the figure itself, I just do a 360. He has a really cool sculpted head. The main reason I picked this guy up, as I said, I'm not a big, I wouldn't be a biggest, I wouldn't say fan of Spawn. I do love the designs for Spawn. I just wouldn't be that into the lore and the history of the characters. But way back when these figures were less articulated, I did have the original version of this guy. So I did pick this one up just for nostalgia reasons. I do have some of the other figures ordered. Like I did pick up the big giant Violator figure, which is really cool. There's 2 versions of that now. There's a bloodied variant, which just recently got released at the time of this recording. And there's one called Cygor, which is a really cool cybernetic gorilla. Overall, I don't know much about the character, but it's just the actual figure itself looks really, really cool. You can see this really nice green, almost glowing eyes that they did on this guy. He is quite articulated, so his arms do move. Now, he does have this kind of piece of his cape that is part of his arms, so it does move with his arm. You can bend it. Oh, his arm just went popping off, and a piece of him just went off. Let me just... Oh, his arm does tend to pop out of the socket, so just be wary of that. His arm does move in and out. There isn't really a bicep swivel, mainly due to where this kind of extra piece is added on. It doesn't really give him that range of articulation, even though it looks on the sculpt, it looks like it should have it. It doesn't have it. He does have dual jointed elbows, which is quite nice. His arms are quite spiky, but they're done in a softer material, so you're not going to stab yourself with them when you're moving them around. His hands have that ball joint thing going on, so you have like a ball joint with a forward and back, but if you rotate it, it can be up and down depending on which way you want the arm to rotate. Now I will say that his gauntlet guard does get in the way a small bit, but it's not too bad. He can hold his weapon quite nicely in either hand, or you can have him holding both weapons in either hand quite nicely. They are sculpted. He is sort of sculpted with sort of a trigger finger thing going on. So if you have kind of guns, you might be able to get away with using some of those. He does have ab crunch. He kind of can move back a good bit. His cape does kind of get in the way a small bit, but you can get a good range of movement on his torso. He can rotate at the upper torso and rotate at the waist. He can do the splits that much, can kick forward this much, has dual jointed knees. Again, with the legs, he has these spikes coming off the side, but they're done in a softer material. And then he has the kind of standard ball jointed rocker thing going on, and a hinge on the foot. So he does have peg holes, so you can peg into that base if you need to, which is quite nice. So he is cool. He does have some interesting differences between his original counterpart and himself. So if I bring in the original, you can see how small the original is compared to the new one. So these are done in a 7-inch scale. Unfortunately, I do not have my tape measure with me to go through it. But if I just stand them side by side, you can see how small the old one is compared to the new one. The one interesting thing, I think, which would have been nice with the new one, if they had kept it. Now, he does have a similar bladed weapon. It is a bit finicky to get in and out. You can see it's a lot thinner, a lot smaller. Even the top of the head, similar design. Has like these kind of skulls. It almost has like a rope texture to it. It is a very similar design. I can't remember if he came with a sickle. He may have done. I only could find him looking like this. This guy had fairly limited articulation. He had swivels from a lot of joints, more than actual, hinge joints and articulation points. He did have a single jointed knee. These were a lot more they were still rubbery, but they were a bit more sharper. The one thing I think which would have been cooler if they could have kept it on the new one is this. He had like a real chain for the waist belt, which has the same kind of two sickle hook things on it. It would have been nice if they were able to keep that. But you can see the way the cloak on this one is done. It's actually a full cloak. His head was kind of limited as well, and you can sort of see that green glow eye effect on this one. If you just bring the head in, the head is a bit more sunken into the hood. As you can see, if I bring the new one and the old one together, you can see the hood on the old one is a lot more, I would say, hood type, as in like it goes over the face a bit more. But you can see how the cloak was done on the original one. It was all one piece. It didn't have the separation for the joints or the articulation point, so there is that. Overall, I do like the color scheme a little better on the original. Has more of a bronze paint scheme going on. So you have these it's very dark gray dry brush with bronze, whereas the new one is just more muted browns. There's not much in the way of metallics going on, but the sculpting is really, really nice on this guy. Okay, just spring around. You can even see the sculpting on the back. He has quite a good bit of sculpting going on. Overall, he is a really good figure. Now, I think the price point on these were a little bit more than the kind of the DC Multiverse. I think these guys were a little bit around the 24 euro price. 25. They're a little bit more expensive, but they are pretty good for what you get. I'm trying to remember where I got mine. I think I got mine from Big Bad Toy Store. I know they're available in lots of places at the moment. As I said, there is a variation of this guy coming out, I think later this year for 2022. And he has a different one of these, and instead of the full chain, he just seems to have like the front part of this as one of his weapons. Now, the base figure looks exactly the same. The colors looks the same, but maybe by the time they actually get to release the figure, they might do a different deco on him. Who knows? But overall, he's a really good figure, and I do recommend picking him up. So I hope you found this video interesting and entertaining, and please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Cheers, guys.